I just wanted to make a short video here. We're changing out the wiper transmission today because really old 30-year-old wiper and wiper bushings wear out, wiper arms. This is the old setup here. Here's the culprit. See how worn out and blown out this is? Anyway, when I took it apart, I took it out, it literally fell apart. The bushing fell right out. But yeah, it normally would go right here. See all the slop here? And then there was just a ton of slop in the windshield wipers as a result. And this thing literally, this arm here would bolt to the wiper motor. This is the center wiper, and then that's the driver's side. And it literally pulls out. I literally pulled it out of this hole from this side, and there was no need to remove the wiper motor. And you probably have seen some install videos online that show, because I've researched this myself, that show taking out these 4 bolts, taking out these 2 bolts to lift this up and get it out of your way, and then taking the wiper motor out. But it's not even necessary. Just rotate the wiper motor till you get the bushing right here, get the arm right here. I just took some needle nose, opened them up like so, and pried that bushing right off of there, and blam, popped the other one on. As you can see, done deal. Super easy. It's not that hard. After you remove all the wipers and the plastic garnish there, bezel, whatever you want to call it. My dog's being crazy right now. Just another little repair, a little fix we're doing on showing the CRX a little bit of love. All right, we're back. This is another day. I'm finishing up the install here. You'll see that not everything works out well in the end. This new piece actually hits down here in the bottom of the, I guess you would call it the wiper tray, or whatever you would call it. It actually makes contact. The old piece is rounded off on the end here, and it clears that rather well. So I'm actually gonna have to reuse this old piece on the new transmission, which is not the end of the world. It's still in working order, so just won't look as pretty. But yeah, struggles of working on a 30-year-old car. Okay, so just an update here. What I did was I grinded this piece down. Yeah, I forgot we had a grinder here at work, but I ground this piece down to where there wasn't as much lip on there. That helped a little bit, but it still was making contact, and I think it's because this piece here is too deep. It's a little bit deeper than the factory piece, or the piece that was on there, so it does still rub a little bit, and as a result, I'm still going to use the old piece there on the end of the wiper transmission. Now also, these pins broke. Getting this little cover off for the fresh air keeps the water out of the drain, out of the ventilation system there, keeps water out of your car. Anyway, since they broke, I just put a thin layer of black silicone on there to put them back in. And that might not be the ultimate fix, but I didn't have the clips, and like these I couldn't find online, so my idea was to use jack nuts with some bolts, but it turns out that I got some that are a little too big, so I'm gonna have to revisit that. And for now I'm just gonna use these broken clips and the screws until I can get some new jack nuts in that will actually fit. But that's where I'm at. And I put a little thin layer of black silicone on this guy too, just to keep it from rattling around, because I don't have these clips as I mentioned, so I just want it to be, you know, kind of solid until the next time I work on it. And again, a thin layer so that I can pry this thing up when I need to and work on it again. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Real life struggles here. The wiper saga continues. Let me show you something. Let me show you a little something here. Yeah, let me turn the camera around here. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Our little wiper saga continues. So we're gonna turn this on and turn the wipers on to intermittent. Let me show you something. This is the new rack, the new transmission. Hear that? Take a look at that tray there. We're making contact with the wiper tray there. Yep. I don't like that. I haven't figured out what I want to do yet, because our other arm, this one, is a bit skinnier and doesn't have that dip in it from what I can tell. But it's all worn out. So, What do we do? They don't even make this anymore, from Honda anyway. I swear, this is never ending. But, you know, this is one of those things where I don't know it all, so, you know, I learn by doing, and bit by bit here, you know, you learn a little bit more information, and I'm going to share that with you. So if you you have a CRX and you have this problem, maybe learn from, you can learn from my videos and save yourself some drama. But I'm looking at this, and this is the way it came. Like, this is exactly the way the Dorman replacement was buttoned up, right? This rod, I'm looking at the factory rod, and notice how there's no bend here. See how there's a bend here? Notice on this side there's a bend, and there's no bend on this one. So I think this is just backwards. It came put together backwards, and that's why it's making contact right there. Okay, that's cool. But if you look at the original pictures right here, you'll see that that bend is in fact right there. So I was wrong about that. But I wanted to include all these clips to show my thought process throughout this whole ordeal and what I was actually thinking. And I did think that it was flipped at this point and in the production from Dorman, and I was like, well, maybe they just put it together wrong. But in fact, no, that bend is there. And so it just leads me to believe that they manufactured it a little bit too big for the space. And maybe this is just a universal part that they use for the EF chassis. I'm finding, I think that the, well, at least in my personal opinion, is that the CRX is just slightly smaller than any other EF, including any other Civic. And I've had Civics before, so of this era, and it just feels just ever so slightly smaller. I guess you have to just experience it. You have to be in one and drive one to have that feeling, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but the CRX does feel smaller. Maybe it's not, but it certainly feels that way. I'm just thinking that. Now, on top of that, these little pivot points were manufactured really deep, a little bit more so than the factory, just a little bit more. So it was making contact with the lower portion of the tray, which I mentioned in a previous clip. And look at this little cute little guy messing with the leaves. He doesn't have anything else to play with. I didn't bring any of his toys, but I'll let him off the leash here soon enough. Anyway, yeah, so I'm thinking I gotta flip that, and then we'll be gold. Problem is, I put a little dab of black silicone along the perimeter of this guy because I didn't have any clips. So now I have to bust that seal or somehow peel it off and then take all this apart again. And yeah, so never a dull moment, never easy with these things. It is what it is. This is what we're doing today. Okay, so we're back. Now, what I was gonna do, like I said, is flip this around, right? Here's the problem. When I flip it around, the way it's supposed to be is with this curve going up, right? Wrong. Well, that means these bushings, little plastic bushings, are in 180 degrees the wrong way as well. So I would have to take that out and put it back in. And I don't even know if if you can do that without completely destroying them. I don't know if you can. I'm gonna have to research that a little bit. So what I did was, instead, I just reshaped this rod a little bit to my liking. I put it in the vise and kind of scrunched it up right here, which is fine by me because the wipers, they worked fine, just fine, perfectly. But like I said, it just made a little bit of contact there. So it doesn't rub over here now because I put the old pivot point in there. I don't know what you want to call that, the little where the wiper mounts, but this one was too deep. It kept hitting, and so I put this one back in. It works fine. I thought the solution originally was going to be to put this one in, but it turns out that's not the problem. It was this all along. I thought, you know, this was rubbing. It wasn't. It's the rod there making contact with the wiper tray there. That's what I call it anyway, the wiper tray. But yeah, I don't think it will anymore because I've tightened that up. It just barely made contact, and I think with it being a little bit skinnier now, it's not going to make contact anymore, and I'm fine with that because the wiper's going to function just fine. Now, kind of fast forwarding to the next problem with the wipers is I think I may need a new motor. Wrong. It works, but the stopping points, the park function, it doesn't park where it's supposed to. It's still, it wipes, the sweep is a little bit too wide and it makes contact still. Well, I feel like it's getting really close to the edge here. You can see where the wiper's been hitting over the years. And then also the park function down at the bottom there, I think it parks a little too low, just a little bit. You know, I can notice it, you know, when you're using them. Now I can't hear it hitting anything right now, but I mean, I can see the potentials there, and I think it has something to do with the park function of the motor. It's one of those things. This car's at a stage where every little thing that you start to address, you find there's like 10 more things that need to be addressed, and they all need attention right now. So this is what it is. This is what, round 2, round 3 with the wipers, I think. But yeah, we're getting there. I'll show you what it looks like with everything put back together and show you that it works, and that's good enough for me. I wish I fixed that. I'm gonna order some new bushings and maybe I'll revisit this for round 4. It is what it is, man, at this point. Okay, got everything put back together. It gets super close to the wiper tray, but it doesn't hit. And that's what we need. So for now, until I get some new bushings and or educate myself on how these work exactly, that's what we're doing. Another pain in my ass has been these stupid white clips here. As you can see, they're old and brittle. I don't even think they're made anymore, and if they are, I can't find them. But my idea was, I saw on another, I think it was Hush Performance, where they made their own sort of mounting system with jack nuts. Well, first round jack nuts, these were too big, way too big. They will not fit in there. As you can see, they're huge. This part is great because it would sit on there theoretically if I could get this fat body thing in there, but no way. This will fit, except this part is so small that there's a potential for it to fall in. So I got some washers here, only the washers won't fit over the body of the jack nut, right? So every step of the way is just fighting me. Just so you know, this is what size I'm using. 6/32. So here's what I'm doing. Put these in the vise, and I'm taking each washer and I'm drilling it out. So now I got a nice washer that sits right there. And I got some, you can't see it right now, but I got some bolts, some little Allen heads. It'll fit perfectly on here. They're black, nice and flush mount. So even though I don't have my caps yet for the cowl, it'll still look pretty good. I do have the caps. They're just not sanded yet and they're not ready. They're 3D printed. So this drill bit I'm using is a 5/16. So that's what it takes to get over these suckers right here. And I couldn't tell you what size washers these are. They're just some that I had, but there you go. I'll let you know how it turns out. Okay, today we are going to show you how I'm going to fix these wipers, hopefully once and for all. Show you the whole process, start to finish, what I do to, what I'm gonna do to finally fix these wipers. First thing, pop the hood. Next, let's get our tools. Okay. First things first, we need a 12. I've got a 12 right here. All right, so step 1, remove your windshield wipers. Gonna do that now. I've got a little 12 mil socket on my 1/4-inch drive. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and bam, the first bolt comes off, or nut, I should say. First nut comes off. There's the next one. The problem is, and I'll show you, I replaced this wiper transmission, as you probably have seen earlier in this video, if I'm editing it the way I think I'm going to. I kept the old joint here, pivot point, because it cleared the, what I call the wiper tray, the bottom portion of inside here. And the problem is I didn't know that this still had a bunch of slop in it. It wasn't just this junction right here. And so that's what we're fixing today. We're gonna go ahead and put the new one in. Even though it doesn't quite fit, we're gonna shim it with some washers. And the reason I'm doing that instead of just grinding it down, which I very well could do, and I did try to do somewhat, a little bit, I feel like if I would have done it more, it would have compromised the integrity of part, and that's not something I want to do. So I can live with the lesser of two evils there, which would be the just putting some washers in there and shimming it so it fits. All right, so now that that's done, we got the wipers disconnected. The next step is to take off the cowl, which is held in by the, and these screws don't really like to come out, but just kind of use my fingernail under the edge of it and kind of do counterclockwise motion, and boom, you get what you want there. You just got to be very careful with this 30-year-old plastic. I don't know why I'm being careful with it. I plan on replacing it hopefully today. Now that would be awesome, and I'll show you what I'm about to do with that. But I think I've only got like 4 screws holding everything in because the rest of them are broken. Again, the joys of, you know, working on something 30 years old, basically. But you know what I mean. It's on the edges here, they're right here, so you can't really get to them with the hood propped up like that. So I gotta actually close the hood to get to this last one, or kind of close it anyway. So I just kind of, here's what I do. I just kind of set it down very gently, and then we can get this last one out. And typically they have these little caps there that kind of go over the top of them, so it just looks like a smooth piece, and it looks real sharp from the factory. Problem with that is my genius mechanic friend, buddy old pal, who was supposed to do all the work over the course of however much time, I think I've already told you that in this story, but in this series. But anyway, he lost all of them. When I got the car, it had them, and when I dropped it off, I went to pick it up 2.5 years later, they weren't there. So either they broke and he just didn't reuse them. I don't think we'll ever know, seeing as how I don't talk to that guy anymore. But yeah, so there's that. So one more reason why I want to replace this. All right. I don't know where to put all this crap. I'll just set them right here. These make good little tool trays. Okay, so next you want to lift this cowl out, and it's kind of a pain. You just got to kind of finagle it. What I do is I push this way, and it bows up the center, making it effectively shorter so you can get it out of the way of all this hood mess, if that makes any sense. So I kind of get my fingers under here and then push, boom. See it kind of release. Same thing on this side, and I lift, push in and up at the same time. Yeah, there we go, there we go. Nice. And then we lift it out of there, boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next I gotta get this cap out of here, that little tray out of here, and then this guy here. And it'll be a neat little trick because, well, from the factory they just have like a little bit of weather stripping, and then I think some like some push pins like that look like this. I don't know if you can see that, but 30 years old and little flimsy little plastic, it's not holding anything. It's really, yeah, these are kind of useless. So I'm gonna have to figure out a solution for those too. But anyway, needless to say, these ones broke here. It's holding this little, it's like a little vent cover so that moisture doesn't get into your ventilation system, because this is for your fresh air, I believe. And so yeah, that's that. But I'll show you how I get this out. I have a little bit of what do I have on there? A little a thin film of silicone, black silicone, kind of holding them in, and it does a great job. And eventually this will be great because it'll be a permanent solution. But I'll show you how I get these out. Now this one isn't held in by any silicone. This has got like little clips on the edges that you got to get. So let's see if we can pop those. And you just I kind of push them in because I just know what kind of shape they are. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. There we go. So you see it has just like this little lip on each one. You just kind of push them in to release them. And there's, well, it looks like 6 of them, in case you're wondering. And then you just kind of pull this thing out. Now on to the next. Let's see how easily I can get these up after putting black silicone on them. But I just kind of go along the edge and break that seal all along the edge. Oh yeah. And she lifts right out of there. So I got just a little film, as I said. You can still see the factory put them in order. Now this one is tricky. You can't just pull this out of here. It's kind of a pain. So what I do is, oh wow, it didn't stick at all last time, hardly. We'll put a little more silicone this time. Anyway, kind of lift it out of there. And what I do is I get this little hook in here, and it helps me release this beast. Well, it did last time anyway. There we go. And so basically it just kind of lifts off this lip, and I'll show you what the underside looks like. If I can get it. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. So, and the trick to get this thing out, I've found, is make it do a 180 inside this channel here. Right? And then you can stuff it way down in here enough that you can get this big lip to clear, and then boom. So hopefully you saw how I did that, because the first time getting this out I had to wrestle with it for a hot minute until I figured out what I was going to do. So here's what the underside looks like, and you can see way back in the day it had a little bit of rubber weather strip around there, and then these pins on each side to hold this piece in. I don't have any of those pins, and I'm not going to use those. I'm, again, going to use some of this black silicone. But just so you know, that's how you do it. And it was sitting in there like this. I just flipped it 180 degrees, stuffed it down in there, and then I can have this clear this lip. So that's basically what you do there. And again, my OCD makes me set these in order. I don't know why. So boom, boom, and boom. Next, what we're gonna do is remove the wiper transmission, and I'm gonna do that. This is like the 3rd time I've done it, and I'll explain why. So initially, I replaced the full transmission as it comes from Dorman. The company is called Dorman, D-O-R-M-A-N, and I find that they make a lot of parts that manufacturers don't make anymore. So the wiper transmission parts from Honda no longer exist. They just don't make them anymore. But this company Dorman makes a OEM replacement. Now the problem with that is, I'm glad that there's companies like Dorman doing this. The problem with it is it's not a perfect match to just bolt right in, and I found a couple of problems. One, this joint was too deep and it was making contact with the floor of this, the wiper tray, as I call it. And well, this is unacceptable. I can't have that, you know what I mean? Then I discovered too, this bend here in this arm, while it's supposed to be there, and I thought it might have been flipped and reversed and whatnot, it actually wasn't. This bend is supposed to be on this side, not this side, like I originally thought. And long story short, it was making contact with the back wall of the wiper tray, and it was causing this thing to kind of bind up and jump a little bit. And it was also rubbing the paint off the back there, and it's just not the kind of fitment you want. So what I did was, right here where this bend is, I just put it in a vise, and it's a real soft metal, and I just crimped it down about, I would say about 1/8 of an inch, and now it no longer makes contact with that. And then today you'll see I'm going to replace this joint with the Dorman one, the new one, that didn't originally fit. But again, we're going to shim it with some washers, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that takes care of the little rubbage issue we got down there. I tried a grinder on it, but again, I didn't want to go too far with that and really damage it to the point that I couldn't use it, you know what I mean? So I'll show you how I removed the wiper transmission. It's a lot easier than what a lot of videos have shown. I did some research before I started doing all this, and a couple of guys went as far as to remove the whole wiper motor and everything. I'm gonna say that's not necessary. So FYI, I don't think it's necessary. So there's that, for whatever that's worth. But I'll show you how I do it. Basically, hopefully I didn't mess up my camera, and you guys can still see me. I just pull up on the wiper arm a little bit, and I'm basically moving the whole linkage right now, everything. And there's, cause there's a little arm in here connected to the wiper motor. And anyway, I just get it to a point where I can reach this bushing. I get my needle nose in here, and I use them like a lever and pop this off. Well, eventually I do. Boom, and there's one. Then we need, pretty sure this is a 10 mil. Let's see. Yes, it is. And we just loosen these bolts. Oh, I like an extension on these. It's just easier. So if I had more time and more foresight, I would have gotten new bolts, just because these things are hideous and disgusting and all those things. But you know what? You're not even gonna see them when you put the cowl back on. I mean, you're gonna know they're there, but you're not gonna see them. So I don't know if it's such a big deal. Again, my OCD wants me to, but loosen these three up here. Again, I'm not talking shit about Dorman. I appreciate the fact that this company exists. Without them, you're not gonna get any new parts. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of SOL, as they say. Shit out of luck, if you're wondering what that stands for. Anyway, yeah, so we take these bolts out eventually. Jeez. Okay. Now that we got all the bolts undone and we got the end bushing there taken off of the wiper motor, we can simply walk this back, lift this up, pull this out. It literally twisted a little bit, and the whole thing, well, there you go, just twist it a little more. The whole thing pulls right out, and this is what it looks like. This is it. So we're gonna replace this with the new joint as before, and see, here's where I crimped it, and some of the paint came off, but I think this is all aluminum, so I mean it's fine. But yeah, that's what we did. So let's get our needle nose and put the newer one on. I think I actually left it sitting back here. Yes, so this is what attaches to the wiper arm, as you can see. Probably wouldn't hurt to replace this too, because this could wear out, but it seems to be fine to me, honestly, in its operation. So this was the middle pivot point, whatever you want to call it. But see, I just attached this here to kind of save it, and it turns out we're actually going to end up using it. So I'm going to grab our needle nose here and basically just use it as a pry tool, as I said, and then boom, it just pulls right out. So then you just press this on. Gosh, I'm having a hard time today. So yeah, basically I just push this on with some pliers or something. It's pretty easy to do. Just get her lined up. Now some guys will tell you put some grease in here, but this comes with grease in it, so I'm gonna call that good. There we go. That little satisfying click and you're done with that part. And let's throw it back in. All right. So then you slide her back in, twist it and turn it however you got to be a contortionist and get it all the way in there. There we go. And the big part of the Dorito goes down right there. And we got them lined up. Get this bushing put back on. Boom, hear that click? How satisfying that is. And then I just kind of work it back down into home position there. That's what she said, ha ha ha. And basically reverse of removal to install. You just put your bolts back in after you've got your bushing in on the wiper motor arm. And yeah, you just reinstall your bolts. Oh, we were gonna put washers, weren't we? Oh, that's so funny. I guess we're gonna do that then, since we're so smart. Anyway, we'll fuck with that in a minute. For now, we need washers. I'm thinking this is the size. Oh yeah. Now I was kind of thinking 3 each. I think it'd be a lot of clearance there. I wonder, but if I go too far, we're gonna smack the hood, and we don't want to do that. That is a lot. Maybe 2. So this is gonna be kind of tough because I gotta somehow do this to where I can't really hold them. I gotta get this set over the washer because that's the part that needs to be raised up, right? That little flat surface. So this is gonna be fun, I think. Maybe what I'll do is kind of preset that in there, and then washers. And then hole. Boom. That worked by charm. Let's try the other one. Boom. Washers. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I can't even see what I'm doing, so probably not, but and bam. Last one. What I'm doing is putting the bolt, the washers underneath, tucking them in, basically. Come on, baby. You could do it. Yeah, one more, baby. Come on, baby, you could do it. One more, baby. And then you line that up with the hole. Now we're officially shimmed. Smacky smacky, that means we're making progress. Smack the car with the wrench. That's what we do. Oh yeah, there's a lot more clearance there now. I think this is gonna work. Whew. Just freaking phenomenal, man. Freaking phenomenal. Whew. All right, having fun now. Let's turn them on just to see how this linkage works now. Fingers crossed it's what I want it to be. I hope. I don't like dealing with my OCD. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather my OCD just be happy. You know what I'm saying? Let's try her out. Right set of keys here and it'll work. All right. That's got a nice silent sound to it. Oh yeah. It's not making contact anywhere. This is what we wanted all along. It's been a journey, and if you've been watching this whole video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But just to get to this point, yeah, I like that. And we got rid of the slop by putting in the new pivot point there, whatever you want to call it, the mounting point for the driver's wiper or whatever. That joint was so worn out that it was still flopping around. So I would have one wiper that would park perfectly in each spot, right? This one would still flop over, hit this molding, and still come all the way down and hit the cowl over here and just rest on the cowl. It was a slight bit of sloppiness, I mean, but it was enough that you could tell the difference between the two wipers, and that just drove my OCD just nuts. So there's that. So now, before we put everything together, I'm gonna try this new thing I got from EFB Motorsports. It's supposed to replace your cowl hardware, and hopefully it does. I saw him put it on a Civic, not a CRX, so I'm wondering if the clearances are different, and I'm gonna run into a clearance issue again. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Basically, it's jack nuts and some bolts, right? But I saw that and I was like, you know what? I don't need to buy this from EFB Motorsports. I'll just get my own jack nuts and my own bolts. Well, I've done that 2 times now. The first time I could not get the jack nuts in there because they were just too big, and they look like the same size as this, so it's making me nervous. But then the second, I got some smaller jack nuts, but the bolts that I got to put in there had Allen head just like this, but much smaller, and just even trying to torque them down, they'd strip out immediately. So I think I was just asking them to do too much, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'll use my forklift here for a for a table. Let's see what we can get done here. These have a nice little little finishers that the screw sets in, so it'll look like this when it's all done. So it'll look real nice. Eventually I want to get some black bolts. This should come with black hardware to match that, because the cowl's black. I don't know why they didn't go the extra mile to do that, but that's just me, my OCD coming out, speaking loudly about that. Anyway, so I'm gonna pour these out here. It's probably gonna tell me instructions. I imagine that's what this is. See, he says to put them together like this in order to get them started. Makes sense. My other idea was to use riv nuts. So yeah, here's some instructions here. Thank you for purchasing our wiper cowl retention kit. If installing using the washer nut sandwich trick demonstrated in our IGTV, ensure the longer 30mm bolt used. Oh, so this is a longer one apparently than the rest. Makes sense. Once all expanding nuts are installed, you can then use the 7.25mm bolts. Final assembly. Scan the QR code below for the video walk. And they do have one. I saw this video on YouTube as well, and that's kind of where I got the idea. I was just like, I'm not going to spend the 40 bucks that this was through them, and I'm just going to cheat and do it myself. Well, it didn't work out that well. So let's see if this even works. Let's fingers crossed. By hand it is. Are these metric? No, these ones are. Okay. I'm guessing it's this one. Yeah. Okie doke. Oh wow, wouldn't you know, these fit right in too. Wonder what size these are. What's the secret weapon, you know? Using my forklift. This isn't my forklift, I'm not that rich. I'm actually at work because I'm too poor. I don't even have a garage right now. That'll change someday, but not today. Anyway, let's see what we can get done here. Like my nice little ding in my hood. All right, grab it with the wrench, snugging her up here. Well, that ain't gonna work. Yeah. What fucking size is this? It's definitely not that. 7/16. So I guess I don't have an inch that'll fit, obviously, under here. 3/8. No. Of course not. Where'd them needle nose at? I put them over there? I did, huh? We're gonna try them. We'll see. Yeah, I wonder what kind of secret sauce these are. I almost want to research it a little bit. All I need is the bolt information and boom. You know what I'm saying? So initially, we'll put this in here till it's tight. Ooh, it feels like it's gonna work. Which makes me so excited. That makes me so excited to get them to all the way, to get them to go all the way. Baby. Yeah, see? Starting to. Ooh, you know what else? I have some different needle nose that'll work. Ooh, I just remembered. Look at me all excited. Look at these. Okay, we're back with a new battery, and I found my tool. Basically some kind of like some needle nose that are bent 90 degrees, and I think this is the ticket here. I hope it is. Anyway, put this right in here. In theory. Clamp onto the real tight. Let's see what we can get done here. Feels nice and solid. Feels like we're making progress. Slow going by hand. I really wish I had a drill bit that fit, but we'll make do. What I'm gonna try and do is center these as best I can, because it looks like that's the way they're done everywhere else, is they're basically just centered. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Being careful to seat this thing each time, because this one bolt has to last me 7 times, basically. So we're being careful. I think she's working though. Feels nice and solid and positive and all the things that I needed to feel like. That's what she said. Wow, okay. It looks like it worked, as much as it's pretty much gonna work, but let's see. We'll keep going here. I think we're pretty much there. It's feeling pretty solid, guys. Well, this is gonna be tedious, isn't it? I think that's about as good as it gets there. So what I'm gonna do is back it off and pull her on out of there. Take this off. Yeah, I don't think I want them so super tight that, you know, I can't move them, because I may need to move them into position when I go to put the cowl on. But yeah, it's like tight, but not like so tight that I can't move it. And that's what it looks like installed. So then when you put your cowl on, basically you're gonna take one of these little like beauty rings and one of these, and your cowl's already gonna be in place, and then you just install this, boom, just like that, done deal. So I think this is gonna look pretty good. I'm gonna catch up with you guys when I'm done with this.
1 eternity later.
Okay, we're finally at a point where I'm gonna say, yay, got them all the jack nuts installed, all 7 of them. One thing to note and we'll use this for an example, when you're installing these and you're screwing the screw in, and what happens is this screw, there's like a nut at the bottom here, it bites into that nut and starts collapsing these arms here. Now, if these arms get a little bit tweaked, they kind of want to twist on some of these. If you're doing this by hand, you're in for a bad time if they twist. You want to be very careful that they don't twist, and you just make sure that they're collapsing. And you can feel the difference once they start to collapse. But yeah, I had a couple of them twist on me, and they fought me every step of the way. So, but I knew I only had to do this once, I think. Well, I think. So I was in for it, in for the long haul, and we got those done. Now I'm just putting the cowl back on. You already saw me remove it, so it's just the reverse process. I'll show you the finished product when I'm all done here. So this is kind of the finished product here. I haven't put the wiper arms on yet. even though I painstakingly did this by hand, I would totally recommend getting yourself a drill bit that fits. Of course, be ginger with it. Be very careful and methodical so you don't mess anything up. So you don't strip your nuts or strip your bolts. You don't want to do that. So yeah, I would recommend doing that. 10 out of 10. I would recommend doing that. Would not 10 out of 10 would not do this again by hand. It kind of sucks. It's tedious, and if they get twisted, oh man, it sucks. So having said all that, I kind of wonder if it would have just been infinitely easier to just put a nutsert in there. I don't see why more people don't. Maybe it's because there's not enough meat on those little rectangular holes to actually hold a nutsert. I'm not sure, but I know that an M8 is the same diameter as the for lack of a better word, the flange or seat part of these jack nuts, because I lined them up myself, and I actually have some powder coated black bolts to go with it, which I really wish this hardware was black. It's my only real gripe, other than the fact that they're just not really that fun to install. But they are installed, and I'm not even really worried about how much of a bitch this one's going to be taken off later, because I'm not planning on taking it off anytime soon. The whole point was to get done with this once and for all. Put those little washers in on both pivot points there, and just and finally be done with this mess and have some wipers that work. That's what my goal was, and I suspect once I put my wipers on, I'm going to be very happy. And it's a very rainy day, so we're going to be able to test these very shortly. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, always hit me up. I try to respond. All the usual. If you like this video, of course, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks, guys.